Welcome everyone to another one of my quick little Unity tutorial videos. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build your project so that you can export it and run your game project without having to open the Unity editor. This video specifically is looking at Unity 2022 and older versions of Unity, which use the old build system. With Unity 6, which has just recently launched, they very slightly changed the way that we do builds, and so I'll have a separate video for how to build with Unity 6 if you're looking for that. But anyways, let's go ahead and look at this. In my project here, I've got one of the old projects. This is roll a ball. It's one of the early tutorials from Unity. You roll the ball, you collect the things, it's whatever. Very simple game. And so in order to build this so that if I wanted to show it to my mom or my friends or something like that, or just to make sure, of course, that the game actually runs on the type of devices that I think it's supposed to be running on, we need to build it. And so that means we're going to go up to File, Build Settings, click on that, Control-Shift-B is the shortcut. And it's going to pop up with our build settings options. And so there's a few things to kind of pay attention to here. Here first is the scenes in build. We have the target platforms, and then we have the actual build settings, and then down at the bottom we have the actual ability to build. And so in yours, when you make a Unity project just fresh, it's scenes, sample scene. And whether or not you actually use that sample scene to make your level, maybe yes, maybe no, it kind of just depends, right? And so I have a different scene that's called minigame. And so that's what we see here. But let's pretend for some reason that wasn't there and nothing popped up, or it was that sample scene or something like that. How do I add my scene to this? Well, we have a nice little Add Open Scenes button here. And so the important piece is that I actually have the correct scene open. And so I'm going to go down here, click on my scene. It's already loaded. Obviously, here it is. And so I'm for sure in that scene. Now that that's opened, I can click Add Open Scene, and boom. Now I can see that this is here. There's also a little checkbox. If I untick that checkbox, it will not be added to the build for the game that I'm about to produce. If my game has multiple scenes, you might have to click through into level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, however many levels I have, go through, add open scene, make sure they all populate in here and that they are in the correct order and stuff like that. Of course, a lot of the times your games will have a level manager, in which case it might not matter the order that it actually loads in on the actual build, so long as the correct one that has the build manager comes first, right? Down here right below, we've got the build platforms, and so the default one is going to be the Windows, Mac, Linux, which is, of course, going to be any of our PC builds that we're going to be doing. If you are just trying to test this and make sure that this works, again, probably on a computer if you're new to this or if you're a hobbyist or something like that, that's probably where you want to be. And so there are other things that you can click on. And so I've got iOS, I've got WebGL, but then of course there's some that are grayed out here. And so depending on when you installed Unity, you might have checked some boxes that said yes, I would like iOS support, I would like WebGL, I would like Android, and it would install extra data, extra information that you may not have done that when you first installed Unity. And so if that's the case, and you're oh crap, I really want to make sure that I can build to my Android devices, you can click on Android, it's grayed out, but right here it'll say install with Unity Hub. And so if I click on that, it would actually take me back to the Unity Hub and say, here's this package, would you like to add it? You would say yes, it would download, it would add it to your project, and then after that, you may or may not have to restart the project itself to make sure that everything gets in there. But then you would come back and it would be lighter gray, white-ish, like these are, and you would be able to mess with the settings specifically for Android. Some of these, you have to have a different license and able to do that, in which case you might have to have an enterprise license or the license from whatever device it is that you might be trying to build to. And so if that's the case, you're going to have to jump through a few extra hoops in order to do that. But for now, we're just probably trying to get it working on Windows. And so again, our actual options for the computer targets is, to choose the actual target, because again, Windows builds different from Mac, builds different from Linux. Again, right now, I only have the Windows stuff installed, but that's okay. Architecture is talking about the type of the operating system. And so speaking very generically, 64-bit has access to more RAM than 32 bits, which is the old style of operating system. And again, speaking generally, all modern computers are running that 64-bit architecture. And so again, if your computer has more than 4 gigs of RAM, it's guaranteed to be 64-bit. But if your computer that you're trying to get it onto is like Windows XP, or maybe like one of the very first Windows 7 builds, there's a chance that you have a Windows 32-bit computer. But that's very rare. That's kind of a legacy option there. So usually we're just going to leave this as 64-bit, assuming that we're targeting modern devices and modern computers. For the rest of these, we really probably do not need these, again, just to test and make sure that our project is working, or to hand it off, again, to our parents or grandma or friends, our playtesters, whatever. These are settings that are going to do things like allow us to use the debugging tools inside the build that we actually have. And so, again, if it's a test build and you're trying to troubleshoot why things are working in your editor but not working in the build, maybe you would come in and you would use these. But again, for just a simple build where we're just trying to play the cool little mini game that you made, you don't need to worry about any of these here. Same thing with this compression. There are other options, but we're going to mostly just leave this default for now. That gets us lastly to our last few settings down here with our assets import overrides. For now, we can probably leave these alone as well. And so this is really going to be basically how large and how high quality would we like our maximum texture size to be. And so if we're trying to get this to be really small for some reason, we could limit the size of our textures in our game. And same thing, we can do different compression elements there. But, that's a pretty specific use case that we're probably not messing with. Player settings, if we click on that, that's going to bring this open, which we can also go File, Project Settings, and we can get here as well. This is going to be kind of like our intro splash screen, the information about the game itself. And so there's lots of things that you can go in here and you can customize, but this is more for like a final version of the game. And so like your splash image for when the game actually is loading up at the beginning and stuff like that. And so this is kind of a little bit later stuff that you can really dig in here and find some settings for as the game is loading and stuff like that. And the icon, what does it show up on the desktop, stuff like that. So again, for just a simple little project, we don't need to mess with those. But know that this is here. And if you wanted to change it and say have an icon on the desktop or change the splash images for actually when the game is loading up on the computer, this is where you would find those settings. Finally, we've got the two build options. We have build and run. Build is going to compile everything. It's going to put it all together into a nice little package that is standalone. And that means it has only the files needed to actually run the game. It doesn't have any of the extra editor files that the Unity editor needs to actually get in here and tinker with all the settings. And so that will build it and then just leave it. It gives you the file and that's it. Build and run will give you a build and it will immediately launch the game. And so again, if you're trying to just test to make sure that something works, you're probably going to want to do build and run. And so for this one, we're going to do build. Inside build, there's two options. There's clean build and force skip data build. Default is going to be the clean build, in which case it just builds everything in there. It doesn't worry about the debuggers or anything like that unless you've chosen these settings. And then the force skip data build is going to basically just do the code, so to speak. And so we probably just want to do a normal build here. And so when I click on build, it's going to, again, ask me where I want to save it. And so here's my Unity project. Here's my rollerball. The way that I sometimes do this is I'll either in my Unity projects, I'll have a folder for builds. But if it's I'm going to have several of these builds and I kind of want to see what's going on, I'll make a new folder and I'll say test builds, right? And then inside test builds, I might have build 1. There we go. Select that folder. and it's going to start compiling here. And so depending on the size of your game, this can take a few minutes. And so I'll pause and I'll come back once this is done, just because I don't know how long it's actually going to take. And so I will see y'all in just a moment, and we'll look at what actually happens once we've built the game. Okay, here we are. So our build finished, and this window automatically popped up, which we can see it's built into build 1. So if we go back, we can see there's the folder for build 1. Inside, I have these new folders. Right here, build or the rollerball, that is the actual application. And so if I click on this, it's going to launch this little mini game. Everything else in this folder is important. And so something that people sometimes get confused on is they built this and they'll copy and paste just the application, or they'll send just the application to their friends, and then there's chaos and confusion because nothing actually works. And so when you install a game, in the game folders, like if this was Skyrim, there's going to be all these other folders that have other data, have the assets that you actually need in order to run the game. So that's true here as well. And so if you're going to give this build to someone else on a flash drive or email it to them or something, you'll send them this whole build 1 folder, or whatever you named it, that should have all of this data inside here. And so that is how you basically build a game. And so again, I'll click on this. I get my little splash screen made with Unity. And then I've got my little rollerball project there, right? Yay, rollerball. So I'm going to go ahead and kill that. And that's it. That's as difficult as it is. And so there's a few things to, again, remember, is make sure that you have the right build that you're targeting. Again, I'm building for Windows computers, and so I have Windows. And then basically everything else should be the same. One thing that lots of people forget is, of course, going to be the scenes in the build. And so I only have one scene, and so that's really easy to make sure that I have that one in. But if your project has multiple scenes, multiple different levels that you load between, you want to make sure that those all get in there as well. And so hopefully that was helpful. Again, I'm doing several of these little tutorials for you guys just to make sure that everyone understands how to build their projects. And so if that was helpful, I appreciate the likes on the channel. And if there's anything that you're having trouble with, or if you have questions about, make sure to leave a comment as well. And so otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of the day and good luck with whatever projects that you might be building.